Okay, I'm gonna start the meeting on time today. Usually we wait for all the council to show up. We're gonna start at this time, so I will call this regular meeting of the Lavaca City Council to order on this Monday, October 14, 2024. I'd ask everyone to please rise.
Let's pray. Father, we just come before you with humble hearts. We thank you, Father, for all the blessings that you've extended to this country. We ask, Lord, that you continue to protect it from those that might seek to undermine it. Pray for our leaders in Washington and each one of the state legislatures, the local officials. Pray, Lord, that the meeting and the discussions and the decisions that are made by each one of us would be in accordance with your will and under the guidance and direction of your Holy Spirit. And we thank you, Father, for all this, and we pray it all in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledges of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. And pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Our first order of business are presentations from the city, and when I go ahead, we have a proclamation to deliver, but I want to honor one of our employees before we start that. This time, we have an employee that has been with the city for over 35 years and has done a wonderful job, and it is our fire chief, Joe Reyes. Joe. We're going to present you this certificate of recognition for 35 years of service. 3, 2, 1. Behind it is attached a small check, a little token of our appreciation for all the work you've put in over the years. Since this is a special occasion, we have a really nice award we're going to give you, and beautiful engraved paperweight with your name and your service years on it. Appreciate what you've done. Be careful with that, with those fingers.
Great job. We're all.
Yeah, we are. Thank you. Congratulations.
Just as a coincidence, this is Fire Prevention Month, and we have a proclamation to present. Yeah, several members of our fire department here to the proclamation. Let me go ahead and read the Fire Prevention Proclamation that we do annually. Whereas National Fire Prevention Week commemorates the Great Chicago Fire, a tragic 1871 conflagration that killed an estimated 300 people, left 100,000 people homeless, destroyed more than 17,400 structures, and burned more than 2,000 acres. And whereas when fire occurs, automatic fire alarm systems, fire sprinkler systems, and residential smoke alarms provide the necessary and vital warning to occupants and fire departments so that appropriate action can be taken to protect life and property. And whereas residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas Fort Lavaca, Texas First responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas, although the Fire Prevention Week is October 6th through 12th, 2024, the entire month of October is recognized as Fire Prevention Month. And I encourage the citizens to recognize the entire year as Fire Prevention and Safety Year. But now, I, Jack Whitlow, Mayor of the City of Port Lavaca, by virtue of the power vested in me, do hereby declare and proclaim that October 2024 shall be designated as Fire Prevention Month with the motto, smoke alarms, make them work for you. In the City of Port Lavaca, and I urge all citizens to join with me, our council, our staff, and our employees of the city to do their part to increase fire safety awareness in our community. Witness my hand in the great seal of the City of Port Lavaca. This is the 14th day of October 2024. And I'd like to Captain Mark, you want to come up and accept the proclamation for the fire department?
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys. Water.
Yeah, please. We have one more announcement. I'm going to turn it over to our town manager, Judy Beaver.
Yeah, before we get down to our regular business, I wanted to brag on another department in the city, the police department. We just got back from annual TML conference where the city of Port Lavaca was awarded a TML Municipal Excellence Award for cities under 25,000. We won the City Spirit Award. And it's due to an initiative that the police department came up with during Christmas time last year. Colin, can you briefly tell us a little bit about kind of who it was that came up with this creative idea and just a little bit about it?
Sure. So it actually it started with a little elf on a shelf kind of deal. And one of our dispatchers actually came up with the idea of hiding it, in different locations around the town. So that's a good idea, but I don't think we'll ever get it back. So we came up with the idea to actually put it in local businesses during the holidays, from basically December 1st all the way to I think it was Christmas Eve. And we put out clues as far as that goes. We put clues out at 10, and then everybody would go look for them. They would have to purchase something from the actual business, bring them back to the PD, and they would look them for it. Of course, we take a picture with the super sleuth that actually found them. So it worked out very well. It got real big, real quick, and more than we expected. So we're going to do it, of course, do it this year again. So can't wait to do it.
All the efforts we put into that community policing and making this department a real part of our community. That ends our presentation. Then we come to comments from the public. I think we have one person signed up. Weston Burris wants to speak before council for a few minutes. Weston.
Mayor, council, ladies and gentlemen, I come not as an employee today, but as a citizen here. And I come because I wanted to speak about the thought about selling the water treatment plant. Something that has just kind of stuck in my craw since I heard it happen. I heard the discussions about it, and I don't know what your feelings are on it. In my own personal feelings and research that I've looked at, I don't feel it's the best move for the city. Several articles cite that there are several issues with it. There's of course pros and cons to every idea that's put forth. There's several states that have a large majority of their systems on a private system, but Texas is Texas. This is how we run things. Only 3% of the municipalities and water providers in the state of Texas are privately owned, and there's a reason for that. Municipalities would lose a lot of accountability. Sorry, I have a lot of notes here. I'm trying to refer to them. And the idea of taking that and handing it over to a private corporation, I don't feel is a great idea. I know that there's been research on with it and y'all had presentations on it, but we all know that government serves an interest, and the interest that it serves is for the people. Private corporations do not. We lose the ability to make decisions and potentially lose the ability to set our own pricing, things of that nature, which I don't feel is beneficial to the citizens here, especially because they're going to provide, a private corporation is going to provide that service to people that are paying for it. Whereas I don't know personally how this works when people cannot afford to pay a water bill, other than I know at some point we can lock them out, but they would lock them out much quicker than a government entity. And it's just, again, I just don't feel it's in the best interest of the people of Port Lavaca. And I don't know where y'all's stance is on it, but the longer we wait to do anything, the more expensive things get. We've all seen construction prices skyrocket, and the longer we wait on making any kind of sound, solid decision, the more expensive this is going to get for the people of Port Lavaca. I don't see the benefit in selling the system to a private corporation, because yes, on the front end we would get money, but on the back end, where does it go from here? How high do prices get? Things aren't getting cheaper. Milk's what, near $5 a gallon? It's ridiculous nowadays. Does it need help? Yes, we need to update the system, because I know several times they fixed busted pipes right by my house. So certainly the system is in need of repair and refinement, but I don't feel that selling the system is in our best interest. Thank you for your time. I'll have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Wesley. We'll keep you informed about any meetings we have on this subject.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Let me ask before I move on, is there anyone else that wishes to speak to council during public comment sessions? Being none, we move on. The consent agenda, which consists of the minutes of the September 9th, 2024 regular meeting, the minutes of the September 16th, 2024 special meeting, review of our credit card statement, receiving our monthly financial highlight report, ratifying budget ordinance S-2-24, approved at the 9/16/2024 special meetings. Ratified tax ordinance S-3-24, approved at our 9/16/2024 special meeting. That's just housekeeping, because the ordinance needs to be approved at a regular monthly meeting, not at a special meeting. And D is receive Victoria Economic Development Corporation monthly report.
Move we accept as well.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept and approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Opposed, motion passes. Okay, with that, we will get to our action items on the agenda. Agenda item number 1 is to hear a presentation from Republic Services regarding recycling, and Mike Reeves from Republic was here to speak with us, and we also have Amy Blanchett, the Communications Director at Formosa Plastics, and Eric Stevenson, the Director of Administration of Formosa Plastics. Both are are very involved in this recycling project with Republic and the city. of Mike?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Yes, glad to be here. It was really good to see a few of you at TML last week. We survived it 4 days. Oh my goodness. It was memorable. So glad to be here. So tonight we're going to talk about recycling, if we may. Put together just a simple slideshow to keep me on point, mainly and kind of bring the past to the present. For those that were here about 6 or 7 years ago, we touched on what would recycling look like in Port Lavaca for residential. And so we'll come back to that. Next slide, please. So our company has evolved. Obviously, we have a lot of initiatives that we're trying to achieve across the US in certain areas more than others, but sustainable solutions are at the top of those. And so on that note, when we talk about recycling, has it evolved? In a lot of different ways it has. So for those that didn't know this, I encourage you to go to our website when you have time. We have a polymer center, if you didn't know that, that opened up in Las Vegas last year. And it's one of 4 centers that we're going to open across the US. What's neat about this polymer center is for our cities that participate in curbside recycling, when they throw everything together into those 95-gallon containers, carts, gets picked up in the trucks, gets taken, for example, we have a recycling processing facility in Corpus Christi, right? Well, when the plastics and everything's separated by their proper family, cardboard, metal, paper, right? The plastics would get baled just like others into a cube, and they're shipped out on 18-wheelers and they go to mills and manufacturers. That's changed now. It will change. When we open our center in Houston, we'll have a center in Houston, a polymer center. That bale, bless you, that baled recycling is going to go to the polymer center, and it's melted down, sterilized into a product that we call a flake by Plastic Color Family. And then that final flake is then sold directly to companies that reuse the same plastic that you were drinking out of or eating out of. So one of those companies, for example, we've already signed a deal with is Coca-Cola. So instead of going to mills and manufacturers, they're buying directly from us, and thus it's a circular process. But the cool thing is you started here holding it, goes in your bin or cart, truck takes it, gets processed and baled, and we start the process again when we melt it down. So something that's really neat, but once again, we will have a center that opens in Houston within the next 2 years, and we can start doing that, okay, for those that participate. So let's talk about what happened and rewind a little bit. So many years ago, if y'all remember, we did have manual trash collection for many, many years. Rear load trucks, dumpers on the back, and we automated the city. And most have the same format now with the carts. We introduced and asked y'all if you thought your folks be interested in recycling. At the time, it was going to be very expensive because we would have to transport it to Corpus Christi. That's a lot of windshield time, right? So the added cost to keep twice a week garbage at the curb, plus your brush and bulk debris on the curb, right? And then you add recycling every other week and give you a whole new container for that. It was going to run between $6 and $8 a home back then. That was back then, okay? And so it just wasn't cost prohibitive for your community. And that council at the time decided, let's just stick to what we know and what our people enjoy. Let's get the trash out of here. That's the main concern. Sense? Okay, that was back then. Bundle pricing for residential. So your price right now that your residents pay includes twice a week trash collection at the curb. You have your brush and bulk collection. Jody, refresh my memory. It's still monthly, correct? Okay, but we moved it this last window when we renewed again for a new term from 6 to 12 cubic yards, as Ms. Weaver mentioned. Okay, so we doubled the limit that your folks put out because why? Staff internally that would help out as well. And us, we were getting a lot of complaints from your folks that why didn't they get it all? So we try to balance out what most people would put out reasonable. And that's been working. Okay? Do you think that you have residents within your community that are interested in recycling by show of hands? Yes or no? Yeah, possibly. Okay, I know they exist. And I think if they had the potential to have that service at the convenience of their curb, they might do that. Now, can anyone in Port Lavaca take recycling to a location right now?
Yeah.
Yes, where?
City warehouse.
George Street, okay,
Or the county. Or
or the county. There you go. So there's two options for them. Close would be the one at George, okay? Now, if you ask me how many people are participating and have, Councilman Ward is one of them that does it on a regular basis. But there's only a few select individuals in town that either know about it, remember about it, or take the time to take it there. So the reality is, going back to the original ask years ago, we said that we're gonna provide this compactor for your residents at that turn. We're gonna haul it one time a month at no charge to the city. If it becomes excessive and the demand grows, we have to start hauling it more than that. There'll be a charge for it to the city. Do you think we've ever gotten to that point? We haven't yet. But this could change all that. So that's what you have right now. You have the ability to recycle, but not at your curb, okay? All right, next slide, please. Okay, few things have changed. What has changed, Mike? Well, if you didn't know this, on October 29th, this coming month, we have a Recycle Sustainability Summit. I don't think we've narrowed down the name of it yet completely, right? But it's gonna be a summit steered towards just what we've talked about.
Those invitations.
Got it, Lynn?
We want to find your champions within this community, both residential and commercially, that want to be there, create some buzz, and talk about a pilot that's going to help stimulate the desire to do this and see if it really works in Port Lavaca. So I would encourage you to be there. We'll go through the whole thing at that time. I don't want to give away the thunder of what entails a meeting on the details right now. But I want to talk about, I wanted to inform each of you so you know why this is happening and you're not caught off guard by it. Because that is a big change, right? You would want to get the memo, correct? You want to make sure you have it. So how can we make this more cost effective and easy for your residents potentially? And to see if they really want to do it? Well, if you didn't know this, Calhoun County got a big check from Formosa, thank you to them, to help them develop an area of the Citizens Collection Station there at Calhoun at the site that our trucks can collect at the curb or commercially. Take it to that area, right? Have roll-off containers there and stay in the cities we're servicing right here. It'll bring that cost way down. As those containers fill, then we can ship them to Corpus Christi. So that is in the works. And unless something happens, which construction never gets delayed, right?
Mm.
We're looking for Q1, maybe Q2 of 2025. So it's coming, all right? Now, one city that's already done a beta test for residential curbside is across the bridge, Point Comfort. I'm sure y'all know folks over there, if you've already heard about it, they have recycling carts in addition to the trash. Has it been working? Absolutely. Okay. That community, even though they're much smaller than your city, those residents all have one. It's every other week. Their contamination rate right out of the gate was very minimal. Probably one of the lowest out of all the cities that I have in my area that participate in recycling. It was under 15%. I'm being modest. They did a fantastic job. So we had a lot of help from Formosa and their marketing department and the individuals in this room and staff. Point Comfort's council bought into it. And the first question they were asking was like, what's it going to cost us? Well, guess what? That program was sponsored by someone, by a group of individuals, a company, and it made a difference because they're like, okay, if they're not going to charge me, I might try this thing out. So they did. And it's been working. How long have we been in the program now? Been over, it was July of last year, right?
In June 2023, June
Yes.
30th.
So it's working well. If you haven't talked to anybody over there, please do. Ask them how they like it, for participating, okay? So let's look at this pilot for Port Lavaca. We have looked at one area of town where we can take the same truck that's picking up at Point Comfort, right? It's on every other Friday. So how much time do we have left in the week for our drivers? Because they're at, DOT hours, or Department of Transportation, they can work so many hours within the week, within a route. We have about an hour, maybe an hour and a half max at the end of the week when they do that collection to come over the bridge and help out here and try this beta. So within an hour or so, we have determined we could pick up maybe 50 homes and provide them with carts to try a beta test. And after talking with Ms. Weaver and team, we decided that Bay Vista subdivision is right at 48. Are you there? All right. 48 homes. So the carts will be provided to those residents at no cost to them or the city. And we're going to work on a program to make sure they understand how it works, what goes in there, what doesn't go in there. A lot of that will be discussed in that summit as well. But we're going to do that with Bay Vista coming up pretty quick as we get the details if this is a go. And then we're going to look at a few businesses as well with commercial recycling. So for example, the schools for CCISD, maybe hospital, maybe a few others, okay? But we're going to get some businesses to participate as well. Once that happens, you're like, Mike, if it did work, what would be the next step? Well, the big step is we don't want to make it everyone must participate. So if this program is successful after the beta, we're probably talking 6 months. Does that make sense? That's a good amount of time to measure participation, contamination, all those things I mentioned, right? The next phase would be, let's open this up and get a buy-in from the other residents, because they're going to talk. You will have a few people that are jealous that they don't have this program at their house. It's gonna happen. So by then, we'll know kind of the math. What would this cost each resident to keep twice a week trash, right? Because that is a big deal for a lot of folks here. And then go to every other week recycle. What would that look like? But we'll make it subscription based. That makes sense? And the only reason we're offering that, because we never offered subscription before, it was one or everybody did it, is because of the proximity of the citizens collection station that's going to be here. So we can offer that. So that's what we would look like. So if out of 3,000 homes, if 700 folks wanted to participate and pay a nominal fee to have a recycle cart, we're going to look at that, okay? That's where we are. So 6 months is a beta for Bay Vista and the 5 businesses, okay? All of this would not be possible had it not been for most stepping up to say, hey, we'd like to help out. How can we do that? All right? Questions? Comments? Concerns?
How are we gonna convince the rest of the cities and get on board?
Well, great question. I don't think it's a matter of convincing or trying to persuade anybody to do it. I think they're going to see it in place now. People will talk, word of mouth. We're going to put information on the city's website about it. So we're going to get the information out there and say, if you'd like to consider doing this, right, sometime next year, well, this suggestion is not mine, but it was a good one. Someone suggested an HEB and a Walmart in town, for example, have a QR code. Everybody's got their devices now. Talking about this recycling program. You scan on it, you fill out a simple questionnaire, answer a few questions. Do you know what goes in recycling right now? Or, would you be willing to do these things? And then if they take the time to do that, they can call into utilities, request a recycling cart. We'll be able to identify them on the utility billing. Our team will be notified. We'll bring out the cart to their house. I think it's going to be folks wanting to participate versus trying to convince them, to answer your question.
If you would put one in front of my house, I'd convince them that.
There you have it.
That's how to get started.
Sure.
There is a lot of people that go out to the recycling center at the county, because I used to
Right.
work there on the weekends. For a couple of years,
Mhm.
and they got a lot of people from John Bell. You would be surprised too.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that do want it. People like these.
Now, keep in mind, I will be honest with you on the twice a week trash. So out of my 24 cities that I oversee, only 5 participate in curbside recycling, okay? And I'll tell you the same thing I've told them in years. Do a survey at some point when we get to phase 2. Get a feel for what people are interested in, when they do it, and do it for the right reasons, because it's not for everyone, okay? We don't want to go collect air. We don't want to collect trash in those containers. Does that make sense? So in order to make sure that it's good for both sides, I think for the first time ever, instead of saying you're gonna do this, right? People are a little sensitive about that right now, and they have been for some time, right? If you say, this is available, why not? Yes, sir.
Considering that you oversee 24 cities and only 5 have agreed to it, they didn't have Formosa situation, did they?
They did not. That's why this is, sometimes being in the right location at the right time is a good deal.
Well, it sounds like it's a better deal because Formosa is willing to go into this and try to contribute to it. And whereas I think you didn't have this same sort of situation in those other 20 or 19 cities, right?
That's correct. That wasn't available. Nobody stepped up to the plate to offer that for the communities that they resided. This company has. And
And subscription, are any of those subscription based?
no,
Cause that's.
point
a
comfort
big
was,
deal.
we're doing it. The program was covered. Just think about it. There are about 256 active homes. That is very feasible to do in the scope of things if you're gonna do a full pilot, right? And we wanted to see what that would look like and how they would be engaged in the program, and they've done quite well. Yes,
Just
sir.
out of just the average person garbage. How much is it, how much of that garbage is recycled?
Over 50%. Easy. So it's really a matter of diverting your trash to what is recyclable and knowing what that is.
But we might be able to, if people recycle enough, we might be able to cut down our collection to 1 time a week.
Yes. Now, you're gonna get gripes, I promise you, because
And that would reduce the cost.
as long as I've been doing this,
But we also have that construction collection too that was mentioned.
Yeah, it's in the book. Like,
we had your council, that was added as well. So,
Even some people I know in Point Comfort, they'd rather have 2 a week, but garbage just cause the smell.
Thank you.
It's still good. It's still awesome because you still get rid of everything.
yeah,
The collection bins, what do they look like? Do they have a separate compartment for plastic and paper and?
that's a great question. We found that we don't want the resident to be inconvenienced, because if we don't make it convenient for them, they're not gonna do it. So this program is called single stream recycling. It's all combined together. In fact, we don't want you to bag it, because the plastic bags themselves don't have any, they're not cost prohibitive for us or make any money on that. So your 4 items is real simple. It's gonna be plastic, cardboard, paper, and then the metal family is gonna be a combination of aluminum and tin. Okay, so like your Hunt's tomato cans, for example. All we ask is, the program is clean, empty, and dry.
So I was gonna ask you next,
Yeah.
they have to be cleaned up.
Mr. Reeves, you take
Yes.
carpets in bulk and then that's tends to be your plan. Get it stacked out in big containers, take it to Corpus Christi, and then process it over there,
Yes.
clean it, sterilize it. What do y'all actually get per pound for that? And would we get any kickback for that?
That's a great question. Corpus Christi asked for that years ago when they first started that program with us, but they had their own solid waste department, so they would collect the recycling at home. We would just process it, they'd bring it to us. So because they're collecting it, we don't have any costs there. They got a little something back on a rebate program because all we're doing is processing it. So when we would get a price per ton is how you can look at that easily, back on each commodity. Those commodities fluctuate, as you can imagine, depending on things that happen outside of the factory.
Yeah.
Currently, I couldn't tell you what the current price is for each commodity. However, because we're gonna have to collect it here, there's a cost to the curb to pick it up at the curb. That oftentimes outweighs any type of a rebate back to the city when you look at that. Because the intent is to try to keep the cost low for the city for each resident. So for example, your
That's
point,
our intent too.
yes, if you can reduce to once a week, think about the money you'll save on the streets too, as far as damage from the big trucks and the weight and the frequency. So everything you do in our world to eliminate or minimize that is better. But let's say, for example, at this point in time, you said, Mike, if we went to once a week trash and every other week recycle, okay? Would there still be a cost differential? Would it go higher? No. Can it be a wash in some cases? Absolutely. Does that make sense? Because we're bringing out all the carts. There's no cost to the city, so there's capital investment for us, right? Marketing material, everything else. We're still gonna take it to the Calhoun site, but we still have to haul it to Corpus Christi, not as often. It's as it fills up in those containers, so it does save money there, okay? But in some cases, it could be a wash if you do that. Now, if you kept twice a week trash and you add this additional recycle, is it gonna go up? Yes. Much? Not as much as it would have 6 years ago, okay? Very minimal. Yes.
I remember at the high school when years ago, when they were talking about doing recycling in the educational part of trying to convince students to go along with this. It seems to me like that they said something like 80% drop in the trash itself. I know that sounds crazy, but I know in my own case and a couple of other people that I know that do recycle, they said they don't have to put their card out, but maybe once every other week or so. It's like alternating maybe once a week or maybe once every other week, you know, because so much of it is recyclable then.
Yes, that's true. If you look at West Coast, for example, in California, and as you move more towards us, for years, not just new, this is old news. They have sometimes 3 to 5 carts at each home, different sizes for different, items. And believe it or not, the smallest cart is the trash, true trash, the waste. The other carts that are larger are gonna be like your plastic commodities, your cardboard, you can have organics where you put your green waste in there, things like that. San Antonio, closest to us, has 3 carts in every home. I tell the story because my parents live there and they absolutely hate the 3 carts. My stepdad does. Too many.
Who wants one car?
He wants 1, but he's okay with 2, he'll do it, you know, so. Once again, for all of you to make an informed decision, you do this beta, and you hear back from your constituents, measure that, okay? Before you get to phase 2 and see where it even goes, take a survey. You get 20% or less back from that survey, that people would do it for the reasons we mentioned, then you can make an informed decision on that and really see where you go. So.
Oh, yeah.
And then for HEB and that'd be another place where QR code, people can answer and get the result right away.
Sure. Great
Do you have
questions.
Do you have enough data to say what a subscription might be, the fee?
Not at this particular point in time, but we'll work on it while this beta program is in place. Once that launches, and we'll have information, as I mentioned, for that next time around. So well before we get to phase 2, I'll do a follow-up with each of you to say, here's what we're looking at for that. If we keep the twice a week, we do subscription, and somebody wants every other week and they want to participate, this is the cost we're looking at. Okay.
I think there's been a big demand for it in Fort Lavaca. It's just the cost over the years has been way too high to justify part of our system, especially to implement among all our cities. But this program, with our collection center being there, we can make it prescription based and
I like that word, that's good.
prescription. Make it subscription based so that we we can get the ones that are really dedicated to be involved with it. And in a town like ours, we have quite a few citizens that we participate, so anywhere from 1/3 to 1/2 would probably be involved in it. And we really want to keep the ones that don't want it out of the system. They will probably contaminate the whole thing. And we want to be more like Point Comfort and, you know, have 15% or less contamination. We have dedicated individuals. I think the program's going to succeed. I know the plastics industry is changing. They're more geared to sustainability now, and they're creating new products that are more recyclable, more sustainable. And as the future comes toward us, there'll be even more of that going on. So it's good that we step in now and start with the program.
Does anyone have any concerns or question marks about at least attempting to do the beta, given all the information I've shared with y'all this evening?
No, I think once people see it working,
We did
it
say
makes that draw the picture right there, you know, if it's working and they're seeing it. And I think young people, like people in school and things like that, and they see this, and you bring it into the school. Oh, this, I think it can make a difference.
Absolutely.
I think we have the school invited to the summit also, because they've been big promoters of recycling.
Is the Catholic school invited? Because we started this year recycling in every classroom, piece of paper. So we need to make sure that.
Yes.
Well, they did receive an invitation. Thank you.
Is this recycling?
Yeah.
Let me make sure that I'm not
But
here.
what to-
Is that an envelope like greeting card comes in? Yes. So since you brought it up, if you're interested, Slick magazines are part of the program. If you still buy a Sports Illustrated, for example, that type of material. There you go. Let me answer this for you, okay? I lost the battle years ago with the pizza boxes for cardboard, okay? I got one recycle manager locally to agree to me, because my argument was most people nowadays are ordering thin crust instead of the big pan deep dish. So it's not touching the top of the box and soiling it. And I lost that battle. So
no pizza?
no pizza boxes. They're contaminated. No aluminum foil, because you have tacos and other things in there and you get food contaminants.
I hope you give us a sheet so we understand, because I don't
We're
wanna
gonna
be
go
the
through
dummy.
all of
They
it.
have an excellent website, an excellent website.
Okay, because I don't wanna have to remember it.
Yeah.
You didn't get the paper out.
It's probably under.
It's, Facebook.
Yes.
What are you talking about? I
The
didn't get this,
invitation.
I didn't get this.
But I mean, Tim, I guess, I thought I laid one on his table, but.
No, I.
That's I'm sure.
Take mine,
I'll take mine.
the one you came, it's not.
That is.
Do I need to read this in private or?
This is more or less the kickoff of the collection center and our local recycling program. And we invited most of the businesses in the area.
I'll take care of it.
Get them to help
Thank you.
support us and to help us
Just
with
flash
this
them
program.
down.
Walmart, and H-E-B have been, real excited about it. They're gonna be kind of front and center. There'll be 5, you can handle 5 businesses with kind of a beta business program at the beginning.
5 locations.
5
So if a school or the schools wanted 3 of those, that's, you've got 2 left, but. You know, the same thing with the front load commercial truck is what's available in the space. We're over here now collecting, recycling it for Formosa commercially. So we have room in that truck to also do that in Port Lavaca for this beta. So.
Need volunteer.
At the point we start getting past these numbers on the beta test, we're basically building another route. So for example, you know, if we were to build an entire route for residential, you're looking at about maybe 585 to 650 homes. Okay. I'll leave you with this one last thing, if there's no more comments or questions. So right now in all of our cities, this is not just here, this is across, you know, the board. If you ever see our drivers and you ever see trash that's loose blowing around carts where we service them, okay? and you wonder, why didn't the trash driver stop and get that cleaned up? Right? The biggest need we have is for people to bag their internal trash, please. What happens is, we don't have windy days down here on the coast, do we, ever. So what's happening is that tipping point, and a lot of people are trying to get creative and putting stacking bags on top of the lid, and you've seen the Eiffel Towers, okay? Please bag your trash, because if you do it loose debris in there, and bags combined, wet days, weather elements, all that, it gets compacted in those carts sometimes, and then you get the other complaint with, probably didn't empty all my trash in my cart. Bagging it internally will help with that, okay?
There's still only one person per trip, right?
Yes. We used to have multiple when we had rear load style. But can you imagine that nowadays, nobody wants to do the job anymore? It's hard to find people to do that job. It's a liability too. Thank y'all for your time tonight. If I may ask, I've got Mr. Stevenson here from Formosa. Can you speak for briefly on something?
On behalf of Formosa, I certainly appreciate you taking your time to consider this matter. We feel very committed to making sure that we can help the communities in this area to be able to have successful recycling programs. That success comes from, first of all, being convenient. We know that we've had recycling available to people, but as soon as people have to go someplace, it becomes much less successful. And so that curbside pickup, we believe, is going to be very, very impactful. It's going to make a huge difference. Councilman Ward, you had mentioned the importance of making sure that the school systems have that recycling opportunity. I think that the financial situation for the school, it may not be something that they can pay for. Formosa is going to look at that situation carefully. But we're not in a position to make commitments about what we are going to do, which is why that dinner for the recycling champions at the end of the month is so critically important for the recycling champions from this community to be able to step up and say, this is what we believe will work for our community. And before we make a commitment that we're just going to do this, we need to make sure that there's a buy-in from the community that this is the direction that we want to go with certain events. And the ideas that a lot of people have had about what may be successful, the critical importance of marketing and education. I have a colleague who has just hammered me on how important it is. And we truly hope, and I believe with all my heart, that there are people who are passionately committed to making sure that we leave a better legacy for our grandchildren. That we can take, however people look at plastic and what we need to do with that as a global question, not a single person is saying, take it all and just put it in the landfill. Every bit that can be diverted into a sustainable stream, that's a good thing that everybody agrees on. And if we make that convenient and for practical purposes, make it very doable financially, we believe that we'll be successful. And I believe that there are a lot of people who will step up to the plate. And certainly our business leaders, our community leaders, faith leaders, and the school systems. We're hoping that on the 29th, we'll have a lot of people who step up and say, yes, this is something that I can do to encourage my family members, my neighbors, the people that I work with to buy into this program. Thank you very much.
You have a great evening. Appreciate your time.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Amy, did you want to say anything?
No, they said it, they did a great job.
Amy has been working closely with Tanya, putting this program together. Formosa has created a budget to help offset all the costs of this. Basically a training program for all our businesses to bring them on board and help promote this program. And hopefully get some money coming in so that we can have continuing education on recycling.
So it's a great sustainable program, so we appreciate what you did, you and.
And you've done a lot of work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Take care, buddy.
Good. Part of like we've done in the past, in order, the way we're doing it, that's be successful.
Well, there's a lot of people from town that go out to, there's a cycle out in the county, a lot of people, because I was supposed to find. Well, we're just one of $7 a month.
Right, that's why it's subscription based only.
And so
Mr. Mayor? The councilman that represents Bay Vista is who?
which district?
Jim Moore.
You've not received any calls from any of the residents, because they got those new cards already.
He's addressing you.
Sorry, I didn't hear it.
Hey, have any of the residents from Bay Vista reached out to you, because they already have those?
I do know one over there that's very adamantly in favor of it. It's Anne Marie.
I didn't get the calls asking what it is.
Cause I didn't know what it was. I got approached. I guess cause I'm a negative person, I attract all the negatives. And so I called you, you were busy, so I actually got the information from Jody. I was just wondering if,
No, because I don't think it's something that's been that much publicized.
well, and that's the thing, that they got the card, they don't really know what it's about. So if you wanna sell something, you need to approach the people and, you know, you're trying to sell a product.
That's the whole
And that's-
point of this.
That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, this is the kickoff of the whole program. We're starting with mainly with businesses, but we invited the beta program people in to join with us, and this is where we announce it and start with the training and try to bring the other businesses in to help us promote it. And that's where we're at. This is the very beginning.
I understand, but they got the card, they don't know what it's about, so you've already got a little seed of negativity there, okay? Let's be blunt, I mean, it's just the way it is.
It's mostly over the cost. They're worried that it's gonna be a $10, $12 program. I think the cost in point comfort per person being such a small program is close to $12, but it's.
Well, right now, that's subsidized, is it not?
Subsidized by.
It's not costing them anything?
It's not gonna cost Bay Vista anything.
No, it's not gonna cost Bay Vista anything either.
That's a part of the pilot.
But I would be
Comfort
willing.
right now is a pilot program, and this is going to be a pilot program, and it's all funded and it'll be free at this time. Eventually, it's going to be a subscription base where there'll be as low a fee as we can possibly get.
Yeah, so nobody is.
Instead of being 10 or 12, we're hoping it'll be at half or less.
And I understand, you know, it's hard for the average citizen to understand the different flow stream of garbage. To them, garbage is garbage, but, you know, you might not see a real cost today from the recycling because, well, there's not as much going to the landfill. But in the long run, you won't have to build another landfill as quick and their prices don't go up as fast either.
There's a lot of education and training, and that's what this kickoff dinner is about, to bring people in to begin the education. You know, if we just started a recycling program and not explain to people, it would not be successful. Like you said, a lot of people would just, they didn't understand the difference between the trash. Like, it requires a lot of work on our part and community to provide education for these people to show what they can do to help the environment. And we hope the school district comes through and helps with the kids and they can take home a lot. So you're absolutely right. We need to present this program properly.
Mm-hmm.
So Tanya, did they get invitation just like this, or did they get an explanation with it?
So they got an invitation, they are receiving, I've talked to a lot of people, we have phone numbers. We also have email addresses that we're sending out an even broader explanation. Now, we're not trying to sell the program,
Right.
we're trying to get them to the dinner.
And we got just that. I got it. I
Yeah.
got it. And it's
Because
just,
it doesn't really explain what it's for, I mean, or what it is, so.
Well, that's why I asked if the councilman, the representative district was getting
I
any
think,
questions.
I think they're mostly calling me
Calling,
because
yeah, 'cause
the
they
numbers
shut
on
up
the
again.
invitation, and so I've been able to talk to people.
So has the response been?
So far, the response has been good. I think I had one more call today that I played some phone tag with, but so far it's been positive because I'm not trying to sell them. I'm trying to invite them to a dinner because we want their feedback.
Yeah.
And that's been key to me is, we want your feedback on how this program unveils.
I do think it would probably be better if we included a little bit more information about what it was, because Oscar called. And I think he talked to Jody, and then because he couldn't get me at the time, but. You see the title, but if you don't know what it means,
Right.
it's kind of tough, to understand what it's all about. Because it's not very self-explanatory.
And I can explain a little more in that email that's going
Yeah.
out too, because we do have email addresses for all the Vegas residents,
Yeah.
or probably 90% of them.
This was more geared for the businesses and schools and governmental entities. We want them to be champions in this project, and this is to present the scope of it to them. And that's probably why much information is necessary. Yeah, it was geared to specific, although not the general public.
I think anybody that has a second trash can is gonna pick this up. If it's $10 versus what, 20 now for a second trash can?
16.
16? Well, even still.
It'll help offset that. What we're scared of is somebody gets in the program and uses this program for a second trash can. Right. We have a provision in it that they will be excluded from the program. They have to go through specific training before they can get back into it. So it's. Send arms out there.
oh, it's not something.
Okay, let's get back to our agenda now. Agenda item number 2, receive third quarterly report from the Public Works Department. Wait.
Mayor, council, this is the third quarter report, not the third quarterly, this will be the first report. We provided something Jody and I have been working on with our new work order system, and the new data will be available from the water plant. So on the first page of the report is the facilities report. And it shows how many connections we got, how many gallons per minute per connection we use, what we're required for water supply at this point, and our many connections available. Then by month, it shows in the first column the total treated water produced by the water plant. Then the total treated water delivered to Port Lavaca. It doesn't include County rural water. Subtracted from that, and then the percentage of what we take from the water plant. And then it also shows what they transmit through our lines to County rural water. And additionally, we have the wastewater information, which shows the total wastewater discharge for the mine, percent of the total treated water compared to the wastewater treated, the average daily discharge, the peak daily discharge, our rainfall amounts, and then our average dry weather daily discharge. Which there's the days when we have heavy rainfall amounts and high peak daily discharges, you can see a very distinct difference between the average flows and the average dry flows. Moving on to the second page is a graph pulled out of our new work order system that
has total work order counts by sites. These are of the work orders that were entered in. This isn't a complete overview of all the work the guys have done because they haven't got all the work orders entered in the system yet. But for the street signs and sidewalks for the quarter, they have 33 entered work orders. Wastewater collection has 17. Water distribution has 10. And then facilities and physical plant, which is the parks department, has 3 work orders that are completed. And then also those work orders are printed out in the graph on the following pages. We do. Public works. Yeah.
I thought we were supposed to probably do what we're doing on that.
They do meter leaks.
Those are the small ones. They do the main line. Not the.
I was telling the citizen who to call.
You still call customer service. And then
So I'll just
return-
call customer.
Yes. They're the clearing.
Now, with this work order system, something that we're rolling out, we do have a citizen portal where those residents can actually enter in work orders into the system rather than all in.
But they can still call it, because a lot of people don't like having to mess with computers on their phone.
Yeah, they can still call in. And after hours calls, she'll go through dispatch.
Find the sewer backups, are they in one particular area or?
All over. Now, then I have also added to this, the report I get from each department of what they've done in the 3-month period. The first one would be the street department's log, and it goes through the streets they did the zipping, the grading, and the primer and seal coat on. The sign work they've done, any right-of-way mowing that they needed to do, and pothole repairs. The next one is the Parks Department, and they detail what they accomplished through the border. And I intend to make this more detailed in the future. And with everything that's gone on in the last couple of months, I've just trimmed it down and made it. And moving on to the utilities department, which really matches their work order, what they've entered in their work order system. Couple of the crowning achievements is that we had several people acquire water and wastewater licensing.
Yeah, which one?
Utilities.
79.
So as I was saying, we have several operators that acquired wastewater licenses, C and D licenses. Several sewer complaints, water leaks, main breaks, valve replacements, and just last month when we got our smoke testing report back, they started working on the repairs on the city side. Collection system issues with the 24 cleanout caps that were replaced, and we actually had 5 cleanouts that needed repair, and we've identified 6 manholes that need to be repaired. We're working in
What happened to a manhole?
hit with tractors, the rings off of it. The one on Newland, actually, the concrete caved in the bottom and it's collapsing. They'll be here to replace that.
So Wayne, the guys that got their licenses, are they looking for, have you heard any rumors about them looking for positions elsewhere? And we get keep. No. We don't want to be.
Way back on Park School is BCC.
Bowery Community Center.
Now, okay.
Now that they got their license, they get a bonus, don't they? Okay, make sure of that. We're always trying to get people licensed and get them to school, get them educated. Oh, they're gone.
For several years, when we were below the scale on our pay, we were losing a lot of money over a period of time because of the fact that our pay scale is because they come, they pay for their training or their certification or police academy, our school, whatever, and then after they fulfill the obligation back here with the city, then they go to someplace else where they were paid more. You know, and that period of time, if you go back and talk to the department head over that period of 10, 15 years, we lost a lot of money because our pay was so low. Now that we're a little more competitive, we're doing better and we don't have the, loss like we did before.
Thank you for that plan.
Later in
14, thank you for that one.
As I said, I would really be more detailed in the plan on that.
Well, you guys got any update? I know the lift stations were being affected by this dirty power situation. We got any movement there? Well, I guess we just talked about it, what, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, we've got Mercer Controls looking into it and working with AEP to address that issue.
Like, what's the fix? You got ideas?
The main issue we have at the Bella lift station right now is the type of three-phase power we have coming. It's not a true three-phase. So we're working with AEP through Mercer Controls to address that and get a third leg moved over there to additional Y instead of the delta.
I like the way you did the quarter report. You said you could have a little more detail. That's a good deal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions that no action.
Well, we were
Getting more
trying
involved
to do it on a
discussing.
quarterly basis.
If it's not an action item, could I ask a question or two? Okay, you said 33 work orders, 17, 10, and 3?
Yes.
Okay, that's 63 for 3 months? What are
That's
the
just-
people doing the rest of the time?
That's just what's entered into the system. That's not encompassing everything.
How long have you had the system and how much did we, the citizens, pay for the system? And I'm not blaming you, man.
No, we're 3 months into learning the system and operating it and training the operators to enter in the data.
Yeah, but,
Because currently, right now, it's Cindy and I that are entering in
yeah, but you have work order logs to keep track of work orders that are being done without, forget the system. Let's go back to the basic Excel spreadsheet. That you could give a better report as to what the people are doing as opposed to, 21 work orders a month. You don't have that good a system for people to just be doing 21 work orders a month.
I have a stack of the handwritten work order logs sitting on my desk that need to be entered in. And I'm training everybody to enter them in as they complete the jobs. And as they have time, then they'll
Okay.
enter in the back.
We're not gonna get nowhere there. You account for the water you buy, correct? From the plant. How much water do we sell? In those 3 months?
That's a separate,
Whoa. No, you can't account. You can't do water accountability if you can't compare what you're selling to what you're buying. It's separate, I know. Utility billing keeps track of the water sold, and they're two different departments. What are you telling me? Departments don't work together? See that? Never mind. It's not getting done. Okay? What about the water that you're losing to leaks? Where's that number?
As I stated, this is the first of the quarterly
Okay,
reports
thank you.
that I'm
No,
doing
no,
that
that's
don't
okay.
have all of that data in it. yet.
It's okay. We depend on computers. We don't do manual labor, so you can't tell me where my money's going. And I'm sorry, I'm sorry I got out of hand there. I'm sorry. But I told y'all, you know,
The purpose of this report is to look at, the water in our contract with PennDOT and how it compares with our sewer discharge.
I don't wanna get into too much, this is just our quarterly report that we received from the department heads. And it's really not, us to get into that much detail on.
no, I understand. It was basic,
You're welcome to come down and talk with us.
basic questions. You're given a report. I would like a good report.
Doing the same, the utility billing side, so we have some idea on the water.
They have some great ideas, if you come down and speak with us, and I think Jody would be happy.
Well, the thing is, Mr. Mayor, I hate great ideas when I was here and my idea stayed here. But I don't know what happened.
We're gonna have to move on. Is that all the report on?
Yeah.
We're gonna move on to agenda item number 3, consider request of the Chamber of Commerce for a parade permit, traffic control assistance, and closing off streets for the annual lighted Christmas parade on Friday, December 6th, 2024, beginning at 6:30 p.m. And also request a waiver of any fees associated with the event. Daniel?
So moved, we accept it. Second. I wanted you to speak.
I don't have to. Theme is favorite Christmas movies. So Colin, get ready. I know you've got something. It'll go from the Bayfront to Sand Crab Stadium, just like we've done the past few years.
Enough information to get it in the wedding. I think you can handle that. Oh, all right, we have a motion. Did we get a second?
Justin.
We have a motion and a second approving the request of the Chamber of Commerce for the parade permit for the lighted Christmas parade on Friday, December 2024 as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Opposed, the motion passes. Right, move to agenda item number 4, consider appointment or reappointment of members of the planning board to fill an expired term beginning and begin a new 2-year term. Specifically, we're looking at maybe very well. Yeah. Eric? Is that it?
Mayor, council, in your packet, let's see, I guess it'd be page, come on. 83. There's a letter from Miss Birdwell stating that she would like to continue to serve on the planning board. And staff believes that she has done a real good job, being a part of it, and do recommend that she does the reappointment.
I'll make a motion that we, maintain, well, planning board reappoint. Right, reappoint.
I think it is.
We have a motion and a second to reappoint David Birdwell to the planning board, to begin this new 2-year term. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Opposed, motion passes. Move on to agenda item number 5, consider engagement letters from Theo Brown Hill LLP for auditing services in the city financials for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024. Written.
Mayor and council, the city is required to engage in an independent audit of its financial statement on an annual basis. This will be the 3rd fiscal year that the public accounting firm of Patillo, Brown and Hill has audited our financial statements. Staff recommends we approve the audit engagement letter, which will not exceed $52,000 from Patillo, Brown and Hill to conduct the city's annual audit for fiscal year ending September 30th.
So moved.
Section 5. Yeah.
So we're locked in again? Second.
Motion and a second approving the engagement letter from Theo Brown and Hill LLP for auditing services on financial for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Brooke, any opposed, same sign. Oh, motion passes.
Item number 6, consider needs at Connell Landing Suite 4 to something more media. Cody?
Mayor Council, staff has been working with the board commission to standardize the rent of office space in the office building. And calculations of additional costs and reimbursed by the tenant. Standard rent has been established at $1.25 per square foot, plus appropriate reimbursement for trash, electricity, water, sewer, DVRA fee, and janitorial if applicable. In your packet, attached is the new lease agreement for Something More Media, which is Candy French, that if approved will be effective as of October 1st. The proposed new lease amount approved and recommended by the Port Commission is $967.50 per month. This is an increase of $274.37 per month, or a 40% increase above the previous rent amount. Part of the reason for the significant increase is that previously she has always been provided a level of discount to her lease. This discount was to acknowledge that it is a benefit to the city to have her as a city events coordinator, office in close proximity to Bayfront Park in downtown where most of our events occur. In addition, she uses the space routinely to store materials and equipment for the benefit of the city events. And it's noted that the city's fee for events coordination has not changed since 2018. As such, Tanya is requesting consideration of the discount be given to her new fee. In keeping with previous thinking, I proposed a $160 per month discount, which is about a 20% discount to the base rent, and still provides over $1 per square foot, $1.04 for the rent. There's no discounts are proposed to the reimbursement for services. So the financial implications would be the additional annual revenue without the discount would be $3,292.34. Additional annual revenue with the discount is $1,372.44 for the difference $1,920. The Port Commission's recommendation was to deny the request for a discount, but stated that should the council vote to grant it, that the $160 per month be transferred from the general fund to the Ports and Harbors Fund each month. I've attached a copy of the proposed office lease for Suite 4, Connell Landing's office building, and the current rent calculation sheet for the Nautical Landing's office buildings to that, which shows what how we come up with the various rent calculations.
So she's on a contract with city events coordinator.
Yes,
So I'm asking about the original tax.
yes.
Say that.
So why would
She doesn't.
I mean, it's
The chamber.
the chamber.
does.
It's not Tanya, it's a chamber.
She doesn't get that money personally, no.
Correct.
Because
Our
we went
contract
through all
is with-
this.
Our contract is with the chamber.
the chamber has contracted something?
That's
Okay, yeah.
So why would this discount come out of the contract out of the chamber?
well, no, I mean, if we'd be at a discount, we'd be paying them more to offset that.
Well, I
Which,
mean,
I
to
mean,
the
that,
Port Commission's point, you know, the revenue of nautical landing should be revenue of nautical landings. This is
Correct.
not, it has nothing to do with it.
correct, and that's why,
That would
the-
be one way to separate it.
right, that's why they're proposing that it be, that any discount will be coming from the general fund and not.
So the federal campus is gonna pay.
Well, I mean, that's the proposal. The other option would be to increase the contract to offset that. if they wanted that. And that would be fine too. I mean, bottom line, it just, yeah.
Well, this was the Port Commission's idea, right?
Well, I mean,
I mean, that was their recommendation.
the recommendation was not to, offer a discount, correct? It just, and the only reason why we brought this up is because resetting everything, it made it a 40% increase to the rate, which I know in the past, the council been concerned with huge increases to our tenants at any time. So, the reason why it's such a huge increase is because historically, the Port Commission and the council have approved a discount to that lease. But in keeping with, trying to get things right, that would be an option also, is just consider increasing the rate to the events coordination to offset this.
Kenny uses it
Yeah.
a lot for the city stuff and does a lot of storage.
But again, we recognize the reason why in the past it was included is because it is a benefit to the city to have the events coordinator in Post Parks and
We should have that. It should be out there.
Yeah, but you're right, the method
Hey, we're trying to make the nautical land should be a living that stands on itself. It's an income
Correct.
source that should pay for itself. And so it's just not, it's that recognition.
we can do it.
Address it with
No, we also, we've raised everybody, rates over there, right? So that's part of the, everybody's.
But they did go up 40% because theirs was up the full fledged, right? Hers is starting from a lower level.
So I don't know if that necessarily.
We could, anything could be, we could amend that contract. To increase it by that.
We do that with this agenda item. I don't think it goes in.
No, we probably have to do that as a separate agenda. To amend the events coordinator.
Well, I think the Port Commission usually keeps a pretty good handle on all of this, so I would be willing to say, I'll make a motion that we accept it.
Except what?
Like, we consider the, links for the.
The lease, yeah. But so,
What we were discussing was
whether to
adding
offer.
this amount as an addition to the contract because the inflation has caused our cost to increase with nautical landing. Her contract is now her. So that affects her work and her contract, so we need to work with the chamber to be it for them to be able to negotiate.
So I think what I'm hearing is, it would make more sense, let the rent stay as such, but then consider adding $160 a month to her contract, or we've got to the chamber's contract for events coordination, yes.
I don't want to lose one.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, that works. I think we would go ahead and approve, the contract as is, with the understanding to bring back, amendment to the contract. That way we don't have to bring this back
To
again.
be effective 10/1, so that
Correct.
she doesn't have to pay more.
What is the benefit of tabling?
Nothing.
Nothing, we
We're
don't,
not
we
going
don't wanna
to.
take.
Because we want to hear you say.
Her lease to be.
So I was we can talk about.
We're getting the recommendation of
Correct. Yes.
Let's go with Port Commission.
Let them-
Yeah, they said they didn't want a discount, no
Yeah,
They didn't
discount.
want a
So-
discount.
We're not doing that.
So the motion to go with whatever without the discount.
And then we'll come back and look at the,
With the hospital.
Yeah.
The motion would be to bring back an amended contract to make.
Make that-
something like either.
Yes.
The extra cost. That's
Jim made that motion.
Kim? We have a motion and a second to approve the contract with. Leaves of lot of county, something in more media. Something more media. As presented without the requested discount. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. And opposed, motion passes.
You wanted to come back.
No, this won't come back, but we will have at the next, the next
Good.
meeting, we'll have an agenda item to amend the agreement with the Chamber of Commerce for events.
Make it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, let's move on. Agenda item number 7, consider second and final reading of an ordinance S-4-24, the city of Fort Lavaca regarding compensation. Jody?
This, I know we had a discussion on this on the first reading, the second reading, if you remember right, the first reading, we had failed to put the section in there that actually said what we were doing, which now you can find on page 112 under enactment. And so what we are doing is, again, the compensation to each officer shall be increased by 10%. The amount is the following act, that is ordinance in accordance with the rules stated above, which we put in all the whereases. So the mayor beginning June 1st of 2026 shall be $660 a month. Council number 4 and 5 beginning June 1st, 2025, will be $330. Council members 1 and 3 beginning June 1st, 2026, will be $330. And then council member District 2 and 6 will begin June 1st of 2027, will be $330.
Yeah, which would be that kind of embarrassing.
$330. It's better than 300.
You're well worth.
Got rates. 10% of three.
Right, it takes effect. It doesn't affect anybody sitting here in their present.
You have a motion?
Motion that we accept.
Okay. We have a motion and a second approving, second final reading of the ordinance. S-4-24, the city of Fort Lavaca regarding compensation of mayor and council members and providing as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Yeah, so.
3 and 3.
Same thing.
Same thing as last time, 33. Mayor, I will vote to approve. Simple final reading. We put that at number 8. Consider second and final reading of an ordinance of the city, ordinance G-9-24, the city of Fort Lavaca amending the code of ordinance appendix A, fees, rates, and changes, chapter 54, waterways, and providing reading.
Mayor and council, I do have a couple changes, small changes to this ordinance, after reviewing it with the board commission at the last meeting. The first one is, where we got down here, it says commercial, we marked out fishing. The commercial vessel dockage rate. We're gonna add that these are monthly rates that currently we had. We were just clarifying that this is entered after that, it's fishing. But these monthly rates are available only for leases of 1 year or greater, unless otherwise approved by city council. So generally, these are only applicable to leases of 1 year or greater. Then, also, actually, Jim Rudloff brought to my attention today that we really need where it says regulation barges, 10,000 barrel capacity. He's recommending we just mark that out because there's other things that are regulation barges, not necessarily 10,000 barrel capacity. So it makes more sense just to call it regulation barges. Everybody knows what that is. 10,000 barrel capacity just complicates it. So propose to just delete that as delete the $10,000 barrel capacity from the definition there, and just say regulation barges.
So the first paragraph topics for all self-propelled, that's a per day thing,
Correct.
and that's just per day, that's not.
Correct.
Full point here.
No, those are daily rate, right? The monthly rate is only available because it's substantially less. So the monthly rate is only available if in fact you sign a lease for over a year. But, and we could leave it like that, honestly, that was their recommendation. I'm thinking to just put in there unless otherwise if we can see council, just so you don't have to be, in case something comes up, the council does want to do something for the year. It's in, so we can do that.
Most of this has been reviewed with the book committee.
Yes, that was their everything else, their agreements to, that we've been discussing, those two items.
So what was the previous rate? You know?
We did not have any fleeting rates, we had no fleeting rates, and the dockage rates, I mean, these were daily dockage rates. All we had was, the monthly rates for dock. These are, we did have some dockage rates set for, our rep. Oh, this is dockage rates for. And so these are in line with what we had before. We did not have the morning all. That's what we wanted to. Yes.
I have a motion. Motion second, approving the second final reading. Final reading of ordinance D-9-24, the city of Lavaca, Maine, because of ordinances, equal rates, changes, chapter waterways and remaining of the city as presented. With the amendments by staff made. All in favor, say aye. The same sign. Opposed, motion passes. Right, we will move to item number 9, consider resolution number R-10142-4-1 of the city of Lavaca. City Hall Master Plan Phase 3 interior renovations and sidewalk and construction. Procurement method, Jody.
Mayor Council, on your, table, I put a copy of the draft plans for this next, step, phase of interior renovations at City Hall. This is specifically, if you look at the third page of this, of the handout, this deals with, constructing a bulletproof enclosure, utility billing, and redoing their, outdoor space in there. It also, and these can be added as, when we bid it, it's often adds. But, we've got provisions in here for an automatic button to automatically open the doors. And then, just like, yes, like if they have a courthouse. And then also, we've got many complaints from people that we don't have a true, ADA, approach along the curb coming from the parking lot into the building. So we're reworking the concrete in the front there, adding an ADA ramp, so people can safely walk, or use a wheelchair, or walk, or whatever, from the parking area up and get into City Hall. So those are the key components of this particular bid package. And as we've done in the past, working with Rolling Boyd, they're recommending always to use a competitive steel proposal method. That way, that gives us a little more flexibility in the bidders. It's not awarded strictly by price. We consider price, their qualifications, and the third item. Later. So there's a few things that we have to, some resolutions we need to adopt in order to do this. So the first resolution is this item, which basically states that we are deciding to use the competitive steel proposal method. And staff is recommending to do this.
The ADA's on this side of here.
This is all at the utility.
There's not one at the corner.
There's not one it's not safe where it's at. It's not, where they approach, this is where they're coming across. That comes across the yeah.
Have you got any companies that are interested? Do you have any companies that you think might put a bid in?
Yeah, but again, we're not ready to bid it yet. This is in process for that. I know BLS Constructions, they wanna. Yeah. They've done some.
So the ADA parking is still across the street though?
Yes.
Is there any way you get ADA parking next to where they actually get that?
I don't think I don't think there's any room. I mean, that's because of where the drive-through is. I don't
We'd have to
think,
go to the police department parking lot and then get up on the sidewalk
yeah,
to do it safe.
but there
But
would
they
be.
could come in through here.
What do you think, Jim? Cut out
Yeah,
for
I mean,
that
you
curve
can
up
always
here
come
on the right
in
at the
straight.
corner of the.
And honestly,
A parking place.
I mean, I don't know if Derek can speak to this, but the
That might
complaints
work.
that he's had, it's not necessarily
One
people
space.
in a wheelchair, but even people just walking, stepping up on the curb. You know,
Yeah, you'll have people with some walking disability. And, you know, they have a problem stepping up onto a curb. And so that was one of the complaint or one of the things.
But like, no, not there. LaSalle Landing, LaSalle Landing. I always gotta call it Nautical Landing. LaSalle Landings have those like roll up curves like that. They have some, I don't know what the name of them. But, you know, those are easy to walk up on if you have a disability. Those kind of curves. And then-
When they walk around the curves in the parking lot. they're-
Flash
they're-
curves,
I'll
like
walk
that.
right in, come to it. Or to get-
we will, I think we can do that. Right now, we don't have a problem.
designated area where they can park, instead of just in there.
Well, there is a designated area that's right on Virginia Street,
Yeah.
but none of the people that park in the handicap areas go all the way to the Virginia Street and come across.
They're
They'll just cut right across the street right there.
That's
Well,
where
that-
we
So we
park.
can, I mean, we can establish a crosswalk there.
Right.
Have we ever looked, you know,
Wide area.
so the what's the drive up? Have you ever looked at doing it, the drive up on the other side of that and then the parking, what's gonna get in the building?
They'd be out in the street. No, get rid of the sidewalk.
But if
We
we
do
did the
street.
parking lot.
I mean, I think the CC's done that, I mean, this is just not a good, it's still not very, it protects our people, but it doesn't really help the, handicap access that much.
We talked about what was it, drive through.
Do the drive through on the other side.
I mean,
I mean, I don't know, that's kind of wild.
Railroad property. It's part of the landscape
Well, we have
over
the
there.
street, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I'll bring that up to, maybe some brainstorming to look into that. But again, and this is, I mean, we don't, I mean, we can, you know, this was gonna be an alternate anyway. I mean, we can relook at this, and I can sit down with, yeah, I mean, yeah.
That'd be better to go through the automatic door on the other side.
I'm not right here.
Still.
Well, I mean, eventually, we can put it over there too, but this is,
Go.
You know, drive through on the other side and then now you have an area where people can drive up. I mean, it's not like you have many handicap people lined up to get out at the same time, right? You just need one or two spaces.
Right. And that's what we have is 2 spaces.
And on the other side of the road.
Right.
right.
So do the payment on where the parking is?
Well, that, I don't know if you need to go that far, I mean, you know, where you that two thing, but if you access it from the other side, then that whole area where people drive up, now. People access it from the other side.
But you'd be going into oncoming traffic to pay the bills. So I guess they would have,
You'd have to do something street.
right.
But I mean, so you've done the other side of it, you have it, and that means that whole area. But somebody who's handicapped with this whole area, it's about like there and get out.
Right.
I don't know, I mean, I'm not visually out here, you measure everything, we own the streets, you know.
Right.
They're making them do accessible.
Over to the building.
Yeah, this was basically just to make it easier
It's a little
for,
expensive.
Well, and we don't, you know, again, this was an alternate ad, we don't have to,
That's just something.
have to edit or even word it.
We just something that we, remember when I was really had my problems, it was hard for me to get out. But that's why I know where this, right, way on the corner.
I know.
Person in a wheelchair, it's very difficult for them to move across the street. closer we get to the building, the better.
Yes, yeah, and again, I mean, as far as the, nothing's, we're not awarding anything tonight, so there's, you know, and they haven't finished the package yet. They have to have these enacted in order, all this is doing is determining the method of bidding and, the wage rates, and then establishing the select committee, the committee that will work, make a recommendation on it. That's all we're doing.
We can run through these and you can still amend. them.
Yes, yeah, the plans are not final
And
yet.
that may be too expensive.
I mean, it's fine, if we wanted to go all that, we wouldn't have money to do that now, but if we wanted to, we can look at those ideas and then make a decision whether we want to do this right now. But yeah, we still have time to make those changes.
Yeah, it'd be like Texas A&M where they do those slow release where you're going around the traffic count.
I've seen those.
Yes, so we could do, we could do it like that.
You people need to realize that this was a bank back in 1959.
But it's not 1959 now.
I know, but I'm just saying the building was built then, and it was before all these ADA and all these other things. And so there was no consideration. That was a bank. When we graduated, they put $10 in their account and said, you've got an account here. And then it moved, this was First National, and then it moved over there. But all of this was built with no consideration of anything.
Well, because back in 1950, whatever they did.
Right.
I guess, and we can't.
Motion to approve the resolution.
That's why I'm gonna do it now.
Motion for procurement method.
Method, yes.
Okay, so we
I'll
have
second it.
a motion in the second approved resolution number R-101424 of the city of Lavaca. All master plan phase 3. This is the procurement method, as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Opposed, motion passes.
Jack, do you have to read every single word on every single one of those?
Well, I have to make it clear.
It's pretty clear. I can understand you. I don't think it's necessary to read it, is it? Anne Marie?
Let's move on to agenda item number 10 to consider resolution number 101424-1 of the city of Fort Lavaca. City Hall Master Plan Phase 3, interior renovations and site work for prevailing wage rates.
This is a resolution that's establishing that we're, city of Lavaca is stating that our prevailing wage rates are going to, we're gonna use those that are determined by the United States Department of Labor. Which would be extended.
Make a motion that we.
Second.
Alan and Jim.
Oh, Jim.
We have a motion and a second approving, resolution number R-101424-2, City of Fort Lavaca, City Hall Master Plan Phase 3. Pertaining to the prevailing wage rate as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Opposed, motion passes. Move to agenda item number 11, consider resolution number R-101424-3, with the Lavaca City Hall Master Plan Phase 3, interior renovation for delegation of authority.
In using this method, we are, let's delegate a person to be, person that has the authority to then assemble a committee to then, review and score the bids and then come back with a recommendation. This resolution, designates myself as being that person.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion and a second approving resolution number R-101424-3, City of Fort Lavaca, City Hall Master Plan Phase 3, interior renovation site work and delegation of authority. It's presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Opposed, motion passes. We're gonna move to agenda item number 12, consider resolution number R-101424-4, the City of Fort Lavaca,
City Hall Master Plan Phase 3 interior renovations, site work for selection committee and proposal ranking criteria. Jody?
Yeah, we are, time was. We'll be scoring on price for 50% off the qualifications, 40% and 5%. We are proposing a committee consisting of myself, Brittany Hogan, Karen Hill, Derek Smith, Tim Dent, and Brian Parker. Of course, that's just our proposal. If somebody else wants to change that, this is a resolution that establishes a selection for the rank.
Make a motion that we approve the resolution. Second. R dash 10144 dash.
Jody, can I have myself with that list?
We can,
Yeah, I'd like to get more familiar with the process.
yeah, we can have two people on council. So just add.
Part of your motion. Motion that we add, Justin Burks to the list. Brian will second it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Three. Selection committee and proposal ranking criteria. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Opposed, the motion passes.
Yes, stay right.
Yeah, we move along to agenda item number 13, consider award restricted bid for replacement of the Ann Street lift station. Wayne?
Mayor, council, as part of our ongoing maintenance rehab of the sanitary sewer system, we advertised for bids for the replacement of the Ann Street lift station due 2:30 p.m. October 2nd. We had one company bid on the project, which was Lester Contracting, in the amount of $816,650 with a planned completion in 365 calendar days. This is one of the stations that was outlined in the sanitary sewer lift station assessment as being in poor condition. However, it currently is operational, but it has seen many failures recently and has like.
Is this the one on corporation ditch?
No,
This is
by Nelson.
Nelson's.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I had more than one bid. Yeah. Surprising, just one company.
One bid, yeah.
It's-
I mean, that's right now, everybody is so busy. I mean, honestly, I think most of them is, I haven't looked at it.
Is that the one who's worked on our other ones?
Yeah.
Is this in line with everything? Yes.
Yes.
So
In fact, it's a little less than I thought it would be.
attached is the big tabulation and the recommendation letters from Urban Engineering. And staff concurs with Urban, we award the bid to Lester for $816,650.
This 365 days, I mean, is that like very conservative on estimate? Do we expect it to be done sooner than that?
That's yes and no. It depends on materials.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take at least 6 months to get everything.
Problem with that is we never, I mean, if they don't get it done in 365, we only call the rain days. There's no consequences.
Well, there can be consequences.
So we never,
Like what I did, we could just when we're not.
so we have to, have we ever done with the damages?
Well, we extend the contract if there's bona fide reason to do so.
Well, I mean, rain days are defined by the contract.
Yeah.
This is like a freebie, you get a rain day, just add it on to the back of the timeline.
So it waves, it adds a day to the contract.
But
yes.
they have.
But it has to, it's significant. It's not like it sprinkles and you're gone for the day. It has to be like not workable.
And again, I mean, you know, and that's.
We haven't really had the problem with it dragging on and on and on.
Not for projects of this kind.
6 months seems like a long time to wait from the period.
Yeah, well, I mean, when Brooks was at least, Brooks was over 6 months, it was like 7 months.
It took them 8 months to get the wet well, Brooks.
I mean, it's not like things used to be. It does take a lot longer to get stuff in.
So this means temporary pumps and no interruption in service, though?
No interruption in service.
It's kind of an eyesore, the pumps being out there on, what, near the road or something.
Now, this little. Believe they're building one right behind this station, and then this station will be dismantled. So that there's no interruption in service whatsoever.
And
It'd be just like they did
what
with.
was that interesting term that you said, liquidation or what?
Liquidated damages.
Liquidated damages.
Yeah.
It was made.
It's in
the early
the
1900s, I think it was 1927.
It's in the contract, it's in every
And they're
construction
usually
contract.
like, I mean, it's like $300.
It depends how tight you're on the schedule. So like, our contract over in Independence might have higher liquidated damages because we're wanting that fixed sooner than later. And so it might have liquidated damages $500 a day.
But you, you know, and it's a balancing act. I mean, you know, oftentimes we'll allow the bidder to bid in that time, right? And of course, that liquidated damages, you know, the more it is, the more time you're gonna have, because they don't want to deal with that. But if you go in there and you specify the time, if you have, you know, high liquidated damages, you're gonna realize you're gonna receive higher bids. It's gonna cost you, because the last thing they want to deal with is liquidated damages. So they're gonna put more money into it to make sure they, you know, because things are gonna happen, and you know, they're gonna cover it.
It is a balancing act,
It
but
is.
I do always recommend when we have one that's time sensitive, that we do. We don't put them like, I have private contractors that'll put. So private company hiring private contractors, they'll put $2,500 a day.
Yeah, there's something.
Because they are, you know.
Because there's a lot of dropping in, hey, you got this done. Yeah.
But when you're talking of. I've enforced it in some of my entities. I have. For Lavaca, we haven't needed to. We haven't.
Well, hopefully we won't be doing it. I mean, we got one coming up, we may do it if it doesn't come through.
It's hard enough to get bidders. Yeah, no, with one bidder, it's pretty tough to try to penalize us.
You get a reputation.
Rep. Rep. I guess we ought to award this contract, is that right?
You can make a motion to award it.
I make a motion to award the, construction bid for the replacement of the Ann Street lift station. Second.
That's the contract, amount of $863,650.
That's the contract. The amount of $816,650.
Okay, so we have a motion on the second, right? Yeah. Second, yes. Motion in the second, the bid for the N Street lift station to Lester Contracting for $860,650 for the completion in 365 days as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Opposed, motion passes. All right, we move to agenda item number 14, consider agreement between the city of Port Lavaca and public sector personnel consultants incorporated to conduct a classification and compensation.
Mayor and council, it has been a policy of the city of Port Lavaca to perform every 6th year a salary survey with a third party to review and recommend changes to the city's job descriptions and salaries. The last survey performed by a third party was performed in 2020 with the final report dated January 2021. Please keep in mind that the last third party survey performed in 2020 did not include any review of the job descriptions. Since 2020, there have been internal changes and reclassifications to the job descriptions that were included in our list of FTEs. We are also expecting a decrease in our police dispatcher positions in January 2025, which will bring our total FTE count for full-time positions from 100 to 97. In addition, the city has added 4 positions to our list of full-time employees since 2020, which include camp host for the beach, mental health officer, capital projects / grant coordinator, administrative assistant, and administrative assistant ports and harbors. Staff recommends council approve professional services agreement with public sector personnel consultants, which will not exceed 37,500 to conduct the city's classification and compensation study for FY 2025.
It's the same company we used last night.
Yes. And in addition, I actually budgeted for 38,790, so it's coming in less.
Did I see that you guys, utilize TML, like they have a database for this sort of thing?
Yes.
Is it majorly different?
So this is not for, that's just a compensation and it doesn't really go to what the activity is that that employee does, what the job description is for that.
Yeah, that's
employee.
what we're missing. We kind of do it's a general one, but we don't have that level of detail to really, to reset it. And that's what this does. So we'll actually go.
They're gonna dive
descriptions
into job
closely.
descriptions, they're gonna do desk audits for our employees, mental interview our employees.
More in depth.
Yes.
Yes.
And you do it every, maybe five.
So moved.
But what? I think what we found I thought we.
It was a council motion, it wasn't a policy.
Correct, but that's why, we're doing it like 5 years.
Yeah.
But I think there was a motion somewhere
There is a
that said 6 years, but we didn't wanna wait.
I'll second that.
Oh, we did. We just had some discussion.
Motion and a second, third, approving the agreement between City of Lavaca and Public Sector Personnel Consultants Incorporated. They can conduct the classification compensation study that presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Opposed, motion passes. Moving down to 15, I debate whether we can go into closed sessions and discuss some things, but I think there's a comment outside right now. This is important. We need to just a few minutes, make it clear, just a few minutes discussion with Jody over some real estate. Okay. Let's see, guys. So I will announce at this time that we are.
Yeah, already.
That's what,
Our part of change.
No,
I said good.
Yes, she did.
But
It's gonna announce the council.
Yeah.
Closed session.
Maybe that's sort of the city,
They
but
are
sort of the city.
before 8:46 p.m. We are moving to agenda item number 16. To open session, take action on any required matters discussed in the closed session. There are none.
Make a motion. I second.
What?
He made the adjourn and I seconded it.
Do you want to, you could authorize her to proceed the contract as discussed in closed session, and then we can bring the deal back.
That's what you were gonna do anyway, because I don't think that we put any limits on our negotiations that are last
Okay.
meeting anyway.
Did
Wanted to
you-
clarify.
Well, we didn't, we gave a kind of a soft.
Yeah, the soft limit, yeah, well,
Well, we
we
can
don't
do
have to put those numbers out yet until we have to sign.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's make it.
Motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor, say aye.
He needs to just adjourn instead of doing motion.
That's what,
I got out here, I didn't see this meeting last week.
Is that what he said?
Are they